DreAllDay.com.
You are now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves all of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into one bundle, one package, one framework, one mindset, one approach, one lifestyle. A daily masterclass comes out every single day that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is why being cheap costs the most. Yes, you heard me correctly. Why being cheap actually costs you the most. Now, before I get into talking about why this topic is coming up, I want to inform you or remind you that I have a daily, not a daily, but actually I do have a daily motivation text message that I send out to everybody who is in my texting community, which you can join for free by just sending me a text to the following number, 305-384-6894. But also I want you to text me and tell me the best insight you got from today's masterclass. What did you get from this class here today that maybe opens your eyes to something, maybe is going to cause you to make some different decisions, maybe it's going to lead you to just looking at life in a different way. That's one of the things that I aim to do here with this masterclass. And maybe I don't always succeed at it, at least with each individual person. But I want to know, did I give you some ideas here today that will cause you to do some different things, to look at the world different, to evaluate yourself on a different level, to see the world in a way that you otherwise would not have seen it? I want to know about that because I want to know what kind of impact I'm making on my audience. So send me a text at 305-384-6894. Let's talk about it. Now, and when you text me, you will also get my daily motivation text, which I send every morning to everybody in my texting community. So this topic, why being cheap costs the most. There are a few examples of this. One thing that I remember back in, this had to be maybe 2012, 2013, I was watching some TED Talks on health and nutrition. Because at this time, this is around 2013-ish, I had met some people who were eating clean, so to speak, people who were eating vegetarian, people who were eating vegan, and I got really interested in their eating lifestyles. All of them were female, and they were just telling me about the way they were eating. And I'm just a naturally curious person, so I was just asking questions. They would give me information about how they were eating. And I was thinking, you know what, maybe I could clean up my own eating style and stop eating, because I started to learn about how packaged goods had preservatives and they had all these ingredients in them that I couldn't pronounce, let alone could I explain what the hell they were. But I've been putting these in my body for 20, 30 years. So I started to get more open to possibly changing my eating lifestyle. The problem was, I'm an athlete. I need a lot of calories, I got muscles. Don't I need to eat animal meat? Don't I need animal protein to have muscles? And it got explained to me that wasn't necessarily the case. And that's when I started to, this is about 8 years ago, that's when I changed my eating lifestyle over and I started eating more clean and stopped eating so much processed foods, stopped eating so many packaged goods. And then it was in 2014, going into 2015, that I started eating vegan for the most part. I still will eat a cheeseburger. If I go to Philly, I will eat a cheesesteak. If I'm on the road, I eat pretty much whatever I want. I don't try to eat vegan when I'm on the road, but for the most part, when I'm here at home in Miami, I am eating vegan. My meals are vegan meals. But anyway, at this time, I started to get more curious. I started to get my own information. The same thing that I tell you all. I heard from other people, and then I said, let me go hear what some other people that I don't even know, what they say about it. So I'm watching all these TED Talks on health, and there was this woman, I can't remember this talk because I want to see it again, but she was talking about how she had gotten diagnosed with this terminal disease, or at least according to her doctor. Now, I guess it wasn't terminal because she was giving a TED Talk. She had gotten diagnosed with this terminal disease. The doctor told her there's nothing we can do. She had went to see all these different doctors, get second, third, fifth, seventh opinions, and they were all telling her, well, yeah, you're pretty much, it's a wrap. This is the situation that you have, anything that we can do about it. So the woman decided, what I'm going to do is just clean up my diet, and I'm just going to be really strict about it. So she started every day eating like several servings of leafy green vegetables, and that became like the main part of her diet, just eating these leafy green vegetables every single day. And she cut all the processed foods out of her diet, cut all the junk out of her diet. I believe she also cut animal protein out of her diet. and she was able to live past the point where doctors told her that she was going to die. So she was on stage giving this TED Talk. And one of the things that she talked about later on in the talk, after she explained how she overcame this allegedly terminal disease, which apparently was not terminal because she was still alive, she started talking about how, well, when I tell people about this and my transformation, they will say, well, eating all those vegetables, especially organic. She was eating organic vegetables. She was like, that stuff is expensive. People would say to her, that stuff is expensive to eat that kind of lifestyle. And she said, well, yeah, I guess you could say it's expensive, but then she posed the following question. Well, which one is more expensive? If you were to pay more money to eat organic leafy green vegetables now, or do you want to be spending money going to the doctor and paying for medicine and paying medical bills later on in life because you didn't take care of your body in your relative youth? And when she said that, that really, that was like a light bulb moment for me. And that because I had always thought the same way too. This was at the time when I wouldn't even shop at Whole Foods because I'd been to Whole Foods a time or two, and I'm like, I had the idea in my mind, the same thing many people still say to this day. Whole Foods means whole paycheck or half a paycheck. You got to spend all your money to eat at Whole Foods because the stuff in there is expensive, at least relative to the local grocery stores. And it is true, still to this day. But when I read that, I thought to myself, you know what? That actually makes sense. It makes sense for me to invest in my body. And I remember I was talking to this woman, and she was telling me about, why don't you shop at Whole Foods and get better quality material that you put in your body. And I was telling her about fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, it costs too much money. And she looked at me and she was like, it's your body. Like, you only get one of them. And on top of that, you're an athlete. Like, your whole business, your whole career is based on how well your body functions. Why would you, of anybody, be cheap with how you take care of your body? And when those conversations happened, when I heard those things and I had those conversations, it really was a light bulb moment for me to really get more serious about what I was putting in my body and what I considered to be costly or expensive versus what was actually a good investment. And there's two different things for something to be a cost versus being an investment. A cost means you paid it and that money is gone and that's it, it's not coming back. An investment means you're putting something in, but you're getting more out on the back end. At least that's the way that theoretically an investment is supposed to go. And it changed my mind about health and nutrition, again, almost 10 years ago. Another situation happened more with inanimate objects, not a human body, around 2015. I bought a pair of loafers. These are a pair of Lacoste loafers. And I like Lacoste. They're a pretty good brand. I bought them from Nordstrom, and after wearing them I had those loafers for maybe a year and a half, and they had gotten wet a time or two. Maybe I was in the rain or stepped in a puddle or something like that. But after a year and a half, those loafers were so dogged out. They looked like I had been wearing them every single day and walking around, knocking door to door selling vacuum cleaners. That's how bad those loafers looked after only a year and a half of wearing them. And it's not like I wear loafers every single day. I mean, you all, if you're watching this on video or you ever seen a video or a picture of me, you know how I normally dress. So it's not like I was dressing like that all the time. I was wearing those loafers maybe twice a week, and they were all beat up. And those loafers cost me about $190-ish. So then, thanks to Anna's help, she was able to negotiate and get those. I got them returned back to Nordstrom because they just didn't last the way that they should have lasted. And I need a new pair of loafers. So I bought a pair of Ferragamo loafers. Now these cost like $600. I never spent that much money on a pair of shoes ever. But I decided to buy those because I figured my gamble was these would, because they're higher priced, that should also translate to higher quality. And I wasn't sure because I was the type of person who thought maybe these luxury goods, these luxury items, maybe they just cost more money simply because they just cost more. It's just a branding thing. It's not there's no actual quality behind it. It just costs more money so that people had a little label or the logo on their clothes and they can impress other people. But I'd say, let me give it a shot. If that ends up being the case, then it'll be a $600 lesson, but I won't make that mistake again. But those loafers, I've had those loafers for going on 6 years now. And if you see me wearing them, and I don't know, you had to catch me on certain occasions to see me wearing those loafers, but if you did see me wearing them, they look brand new. They look like they just came out the box. Why is that? Because they're just it's just higher quality material. That investment, that $600 investment, more than paid for itself. It has more than paid for itself over the years. And again, I don't even wear them that often, but they paid for themselves because I was willing to invest in higher quality material. Now, the latest situation that happened that actually led to this episode was neither one of those, but I just thought of those when I was thinking of this was I bought a pair of earbuds. Now, I have AirPods, which are the Apple earbuds that they came out with a couple years ago. I have these, but I don't use these when I work out because what I've found, and I don't know why it's just started happening, but just this past summer of 2021, it's been so humid outside when I go and run, because I run like 3 times a week. If I wear any type of earbud that doesn't hook over the ear, any of you seen the earbuds that actually hook over the outside and the back of your ear so that they kind of stay in place? If I wear the earbuds that just go in the ear, what happens is the moisture gets in my ear. Like I'll start sweating, the moisture will get in my ear. And I wear a bandana when I run to try to keep the sweat out of my face and out of my ears, but it still somehow gets in there. And then the earbud gets wet, and then the earbud starts slipping out while I'm in the middle of my run. Now, you don't want your earbuds falling out while you're running. So I need some over-the-ear earbuds so I don't run with the AirPods. So I bought a pair of over-the-ear, I'm going through several pairs of earbuds. I had a pair that was working pretty well, but then the charger stopped charging them. Then I had another pair that was doing pretty well, and they were charging fine and all that. And I went through like 4 pairs of the first set because the charging wasn't working. Then I would reach out to the company, and they probably make these earbuds for damn $2, but they sell them for $50. So they went and replaced like 3 times those pairs of earbuds. So I got like $200 worth of the same pair of earbuds. Then they sent me the next version of it, like the upgraded version of their earbuds. They sent me like 2 or 3 pairs of those because they started doing the same thing. But the earbuds were working pretty well finally with this upgraded version. But then because it's so hot, they were slipping out of my ears. So then I bought a pair with the hook. The over the ear earbuds that I bought off Amazon for like $60. These are all these no-name companies, mostly in Asia. Again, they make these products for like $5 and they sell them to you for $60. So they don't care. If you write them and tell them that the product's not working, they'll try to help you out a little bit, then they'll just send you another pair. It's not costing them any money. They already made money off you. They would have to replace like 20 pairs to lose money on you. But anyway, now I got this over-the-ear pair that allegedly does everything I need them to do. The problem with that one is the charger wasn't working. The charger stopped working again. So I finally, first of all, I thought of this episode right here, and I finally said, you know what, let me go buy the highest quality brand name over-the-ear earbuds that I can possibly buy so I can stop being cheap with this and stop going through this charade of buying cheap products and then buying another pair of cheap product and then having to wait for them to replace it, and then I'm just stockpiling all this cheap stuff. Why not just buy one high quality pair and I won't even have to go through all this charade? So I got me a pair of, I didn't get them yet, a pair of Power Beats. They're Beats by Dre, the other Dre, earbuds. They go over the ear and they're like $200 a pair. So I'm guessing, this is my gamble, that those earbuds with over the ear hook, so they're not gonna fall out while I'm running. They also are not going to short out when they're supposed to be charging. The charging case is always going to work, and I'm not going to have any problems with them at all, simply because I'm investing in the top of the line product that possibly exists. All of that to give you the intro to today's topic, which is when you are being cheap, you're actually costing yourself more money. Being cheap is actually expensive. Now, all that said, let's get into our points. Number 1, topic why being cheap costs the most. Number 1, when you go cheap on your investments, you will have to make those investments more often, and you will have to spend, in the long run, more money, which in the long run will cost you more time in addition to more money than if you had just made the wisest choice from the beginning, which is to invest the most in the best thing you can invest in so that you don't have to make this investment ever again. And while you may be able to make money back, listen, like I told you, with the earbuds that I bought, these no-name company earbuds that I bought coming in from China, listen, I didn't have to pay for the replacement pair. So I ended up getting, over the years, I probably had like 6 pairs of replacement earbuds from the original purchases that I made, but they're all cheap replacement. They're replacements of cheap products. And even if I had to buy them, let's just say I got $200 to $300 worth of earbuds in my home right now, even though I can make that money back, I can go sell a product or sell some whatever and make the money back. Time you cannot make back. The time that I spend pissed off and waiting for the earbuds to charge because I'm about to go run, then I realize that the earbuds aren't charged. So now I got to sit there and wait 10 minutes for them to charge up. Or the time I spend on Amazon talking to the customer service or sending emails and doing all this back and forth, or going to the mailbox to actually get the product out and making sure the new ones are charged and trying them out again and all this back and forth, and then going on Amazon and searching and trying to find another pair that might be better than the ones that stopped working 2 days ago. That time, you can't get that time back. If I had just made the investment into the top of the line product from the beginning, we wouldn't even be having this episode, right? We wouldn't even be having this problem. So, but because I made these careless, cheap mistakes trying to save a couple dollars, now we have this masterclass. So we got something good out of it, but the time I can't get back. The money I can make back. The time I cannot. So keep that in mind whenever you go cheap on something, that you're going to eventually have to replace it. It's going to cost you more time to replace it, and it's going to cost you more money in the long run to keep replacing it, because that thing's not going to last as long as the top of the line thing will last if you just made that decision from the start. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is why being cheap is actually expensive. Going cheap, when other people can see that you've gone cheap, because listen, not everybody has a discerning eye to notice what's cheap and what's high quality, but when you go cheap with your stuff, and you run into someone who does notice that you've gone cheap, not everybody will notice, but the people who do notice, when they can see that, it's a signal that you are giving to them how much you value yourself and your work, or actually, better stated, how little you value yourself and your work. If I had stepped on a stage with those Lacoste loafers that were all beat up and battered, and I did step on some stages with those Lacoste loafers before I replaced them with the Ferragamo loafers, that gave a signal. That was a signal to certain people who knew the difference, who could tell, who cared about that kind of stuff. They looked at those loafers and it told them something unconsciously about me, even though it might not even been true. That's the story that they had in their mind, because they're like, well, look at the way that this guy is presenting himself. Look at the way that he's showing up. Look at the quality of the shoes that he has on versus the way that I show up with those $600 loafers on is a completely different signal that I'm giving to people. And as they say, you know what they say about first impressions. Once people have it, that's pretty much it. So you're giving a signal to people when you go cheap or you go top of the line, when you invest in yourself, you're letting everybody else know how much you value yourself and thusly how much they should value you. If you don't value yourself, why would you expect anybody else to do so? And people will respond to you in kind based on their assessment of your assessment of what's worth investing in and what's not. And that's all based on the things that you end up investing in, what you have. When you invest in yourself and your work and in your presentation, other people will notice that. They will notice that you made that investment, and their perception of your value will go up because of their subconscious estimation of how you value yourself. They are looking at you and saying, okay, well, this person's willing to invest in that, and that. And they have an idea what those things cost. They have an idea that those things are top of the line or middle of the line or bottom of the barrel. They have that estimation of what those things are worth, and they see that that's what you were willing to invest in. Now that's going to change how they see you. And they're going to deal with you based on that subconscious estimation of your value. And when you personally, here's the other side of it, when you know that you have invested in yourself, when you know you've invested in top of the line material, do you show up different? Do you walk different? Do you talk different? Do you feel more confident when you look in the mirror? Of course you do. Why? Because you know what you've invested in yourself. You know what you've put in. And that confidence that you have, that inner confidence, it radiates from within. And it shows other people how you feel about you, and it affects how other people feel about you. Because other people can't judge you but based off of how you show up. And the way you show up is based on how you judge yourself. When you change how you see yourself, then you're going to walk into a room differently, which means other people are going to see you differently, which means they're going to feel differently about you. This is how it works. So you control other people's perception of you. Even though you may have been told by other people that that's not true, it's 100% true. Based on your perception of yourself, that will transfer to other people's perception of you. We carry ourselves differently when we have a suit on than when we're wearing shorts and a t-shirt. Is this true? Of course it is. Why? Because the way that we show up has a subconscious effect on how we feel about ourselves. The way that we decide to present ourselves tangibly, that someone can see, has a subconscious effect on the intangibles, things that we can't see. Point number 3, Today's topic, once again, is why going cheap is actually very expensive. Every investment that you make in life brings a return. Every investment has a return. The question is that return going to be positive or negative? When you put garbage in your body, for example, that's a bad investment that does pay back in the form of poor health and medical bills and doctor visits and a damaged self-image because you're not in great health. Hanging around the wrong people does pay back. There is a return on that investment. The return is you're going to have poor relationships. You're not going to have good people to turn to when you need it, and you're going to have the law of association pulling you backwards. So everything has a response. All right, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So everything that you do in life, there is a return on that investment. It's just a matter of, is it a return investment that you want or a return that you don't want? Being cheap with yourself is a bad investment. Why? Because it costs more than it saves. I just told you how I got this pair of earbuds that cost like $55, and they had to replace them like 3 times. So what is that? It's $55, then 3 more $55 pairs. So that's $220. Then they sent me the upgraded version of the earbuds, which are like $60. So that's $285. Then they sent me another version of those when those ones stopped working. So that's $345. And then I bought another pair with the hooks. Those are another $50, $60. So what is that? We're over $400 worth of earbuds now, and I'm still not satisfied with the earbuds that I have. $400 worth of earbuds, I'm still not satisfied. Now I'm gonna buy a pair of Power Beats that are $200 when I could have just bought them from the beginning. I wouldn't have to put 25 minutes into this episode to even talk about this shit, and I'll have a pair of earbuds that actually work. So you see how that time and money thing adds up when you go cheap? This is what happens in life. Now I'm just using the earbuds as an example, but think of your own life. Think of the people that you dealt with. If you're dealing with cheap level people, I'm not talking about how much money they have, how much money they spend. If you're dealing with a bunch of 2-minute people, you're gonna have to go through a whole lot of 2-minute people to add up to 2 days. Whereas if instead you had just found a 2-day person, one 2-day person is worth 20 2-minute people. So your circle doesn't have to be, we're talking people in the law of association, your circle doesn't have to be super big if you got the right people in the circle. Now, if you got a ton of people in your circle, you might have a whole bunch of 2-minute individuals. That's why you need so many of them to add them all up to even get 1 ounce of value. This is why going cheap costs you more. And then to deal with all those different people costs you a lot more time than if you were just dealing with one person. You got to talk to 20 different people to get the same outcome that you would get from talking to one person. Which one is more efficient for you? I mean, the last time I checked, I would go with the latter. But hey, I'm just telling you what I see. You tell me what you see. Send me a text. Let's recap today's class, which is why being cheap is actually expensive. I told you how this happened with health and nutrition. How it happened with some loafers that I bought. Now it's happening with some earbuds, and hopefully I don't make this mistake again. So we've never had to talk about this ever again. Point number 1, when you go cheap with your investments, you will have to make those investments more often, and it's going to cost you more. It'll cost you more in time and money than if you made a wiser choice from the beginning. You can make money back, you cannot make time back. Point number 2, going cheap, when other people can see that you've gone cheap, gives a signal to them of how you value yourself, and they will treat you based on their unconscious perception of your unconscious perception of your own value based on the way that you have invested or lack of invested or denied or failed to invest in yourself, or just went cheap with the investment that you make in yourself. Because everything we do is an investment in some ways. There's just some bad investments and some good investments. We carry ourselves differently when we know we have invested in ourselves than when we know that we have not. And point number three, every investment has a return. The question is it going to be a positive return, meaning you're going to get more back than you put in, or a negative return, meaning it costs you more than what you thought it was going to cost you in the long run simply because you made a bad investment. You put garbage in your body, that's a bad investment because now you're going to have poor health. You're going to have to go to the doctor. You're going to have to pay for medication. You're going to have a damaged self-image because you're not in good health. When you hang around the wrong people, that is an investment. And the ROI on it is that you have poor relationships, no useful people to turn to. You got a whole bunch of 2-minute individuals you got to talk to add up to 2 days. And the law of association is pulling you backwards. When you're cheap with yourself, it is a bad investment that ends up costing you a lot more than you think. You fool yourself into thinking that you are saving. Remember that success is hard on the front end, easy on the back end. You make a big investment up front and all the ROI comes on the back end. Failure is the exact opposite. You make no investment up front and all of the investment, everything that's going to cost you, you pay for on the back end. Which one would you rather do? If you're looking for someone who can help hold you accountable, help you with your personal and professional development, make sure you squeeze all the juice out of your orange, metaphorically speaking, or literally, then you may be a good candidate for my 3rd-day mastermind. It's the only place that I offer direct one-on-one coaching. You can get on the Zoom call with me and we can talk about where you're at, where you want to go, and how it could possibly be the bridge between the two. If you go to workonyourgameuniversity.com/call, CALL, we'll hop on that Zoom call and talk about what we need to talk about. Outside of that, and that link is down below in the show notes and description. Outside of that, send me a text message. Tell me the best insight you got from today's class. My number is 305-384-6894. Work on your game. Dre all day.